Welcome to OpenEDR Essentials Training Module 1. In this module, we will learn about the current cybersecurity landscape. We all know our world has changed. A little virus that we can't even see, called Corona, has changed the way we live, the way we interact with each other, the way we work, we attend training, conferences, and unfortunately, the way that we get hacked. The state of cybercrime is quite high. Cybercriminals continue to act as sophisticated profit enterprises. They are finding new ways to implement their techniques, increasing the complexity of how and where they host campaign operation infrastructure. The threat landscape has changed a lot. The digital threat activity is at all-time high, and the level of sophistication increases every year more and more. So, when we look what's happening in the field, what is happening? Let's look together at cyber attack vectors. But before that, let's try to remember some basic definition, such as what is a data breach? A data breach is a cyber attack in which sensitive, confidential, or otherwise protected data has been accessed and or disclosed in an unauthorized fashion. Let's give a random example, straight from the news. If you remember, I'm going to give you two examples which you remember from the news. Garmin, a smartwatch maker and GPS maker, was hacked during 2022, and the ransomware gang demanded $10 million of ransom from them. They were able to negotiate the price of $4 million. They paid, and the ransom gang released the key, and they had their data back. Another example happened with EA Games, which is a very popular gaming company which releases games such as FIFA 2022, NBA 2022, cricket, and so many different games. They had also a ransomware attack. They refused to pay because they had backups, which they could restore back from their backups. But one thing which they did not calculate was that the hackers steal 750 gigabytes of source codes from the environment, which they did not even notice about it. And when they refused to pay the ransom, hackers released that 750 gigabyte data to the public. So, two examples. One who paid the money, but honestly, they don't have any guarantee that their data will never be released to the public. And they already paid only $4 million to the ransomware gang, and I bet much more to recover from the effects of it. Where on the other hand, we had a gaming company who refused to pay but lost their confidential data. When we look how data breaches occur, we see that malware and vulnerabilities are not the only thing that we as defenders have to worry about it. Unfortunately, 46% of compromised systems had no malware on them, and 99.9% of the exploit vulnerabilities were used more than a year after the CVE was published. What does this mean? It means having an antivirus is not gonna just protect you, or not updating your computers, not patching your systems. Doesn't matter what technology you might use, is not gonna keep you 100% safe. What else? Phishing is still one of the most effective hacking methods that cybercriminals use. It's fast and it's effective as 23% of the recipients open the messages, and unfortunately 11% of those phishing victims open the attachments. When we look at the rates, more than exactly 50% of those who open and click attachments do so within the first hour. Is this the only attack scenario? No. Of course, there is still reconnaissance where criminals look at their targets, they collect as much as information via OSNet or different methods. They create a malware or an attack vector that they deliver it. They wait until the victims click on it, and then they control their victims. And I gave already 2 examples from the field. So they are not leveraging new techniques all the time. That's an old story. After performing some initial recon, this could be ping tools, Nmap, Metasploit, you name it, against external facing assets, they move their recon pass over the target acquisition. During the target acquisition phase, they identify and isolate their targets using the same platforms we all do business, such as LinkedIn, Facebook, Amazon, Twitter. This is a very simple way that people can gain information, right? They can just use a simple Google query, or they can just go to dark web, purchase some database which has already all those information. Once the target is primed, the criminals might use a 0-day payload to send it out to the targets via spear phishing, and as I said a few minutes ago, they might sit back and wait for a call back via the command and control center so they can start their attack. This could be a DY DNS server, this could be a Twitter feed, this could be whatever. Once exploited, unfortunately, the criminal is gonna have access to organizations' internal assets, and from there they're gonna move all the way up to the domain controller. Obviously, the end goal here is to take your IP, your customer data, your information, so they can either ask for money, harm you, or honestly, just give you some trouble. Again, when we look at the Verizon data breach report, we don't just see phishing or malware attacks, we also see that misconfiguration attacks are still in the top of the list. Let's look at the attacks which is happening globally per minute. There is every minute 34,740 password attacks. It's not different when it comes to IoTs. There is close to 2,000 IoT attacks. There is more than 1,000 DDoS attacks. And unfortunately, 7 phishing attacks per minute. When we look at the malware threats, there is more than 18,000 new malware created every minute. And as identity is the new parameter, hackers use brute force authentication attacks more than 48,000 times per minute to try to breach organizations. Is this all? No. There is an SQL injection attack every 2 minutes. There is a new threat detected every 35 minutes. There is a supply chain attack happening every 35 minutes. And unfortunately, there is ransomware attacks every 195 minutes. What does this number show to us? It shows us that we are connected. We're doing business in an environment that it is changing fast. Remember, we spoke about COVID, how we used to work from home. How we used to work from office. Now, most of the workforce started to work from home, despite some organizations calling their employees back, forcing to back. You all remember what happened with Apple. Apple employees decided to resign if their companies is gonna push them to call back to the office. Similar thing happened with Google. When you look at the other side to Exidium or Microsoft or some other organizations, they are fully open now to let their employees to work up to 100% from remote location. Of course, it has lots of benefits, but it has also some downsides when it comes to people like me, CISOs, or people like Valentin, IT managers, security managers, to secure the organization. And those numbers is going to prove the point. The cost of cybersecurity per minute can be very high. When we look at the worldwide economic impact, the cost is per minute again more than $1 million. When we look at the global cybersecurity spend, every minute organization spends more than 285,000 in a global scale. There is $38,000 payment fraud loss or ransomware damages happening in that 1 minute. And despite what's happening in the cryptocurrency market, hackers or cyber criminals, they steal cryptocurrency from individuals, their password, their wallets, which cost more than $4,500 in average. A data breach costs $8 per minute an organization. And unfortunately, when it comes to malware cost, this is $5. So, what do you need to think about cybersecurity? Why should we care about cybersecurity? Yes, those numbers are important, but there is some other stuff that we need to take into consideration. First of all, we have to ask ourselves, as defenders, we have, depending on your organization size, could be 10 or could be thousands of assets to protect. I'm just talking about endpoints. This could be server, this could be a mobile phone, this could be a Windows device, this could be anything which has an IP address. Then we have our employees, right? They are still also one of the biggest attack vectors. We talked about phishing earlier and the cost of the phishing cost. Is this all? No. Then we have to also protect the applications that we have, that we support. This could be a cloud infrastructure. This could be a third party. You all remember what happened to FireEye, one of the world's biggest cybersecurity companies, who were hacked through a third party supply chain attack called SolarWinds, the Onion Ring attack. It cost them lots of money, lots of time, but what I'm trying to tell you here is that we all can be victims, but more importantly, we should ask few questions to ourselves so we can understand where we are. If you get breached, who would benefit from having access to your organization's information? If you're a bank, this could be a different answer. If you're a cybersecurity company, this could be a different answer. If you a government organization, of course this could be a different answer. But there is one clear answer that we are not going to benefit the most out of it, and this could be a nation state who's after your data. This could be a competitor who's after your IP, or this could be a hacker who just wants simply your money. The next question is going to be, what would a serious cybersecurity incident cost the organization? I just spoke about the cost that it costs more than $8 per minute to an organization in average. So if you get hacked, what is going to happen to you? Does the organization do the best it can to defend itself? Do you see security as a product or as a process? Please do not forget, security is not a product. Let me give you an example. If I offer you free car. Let's say I'm gonna offer you a free, the best world's best car totally for free. You don't have to pay anything for it, but I'm gonna have one condition, that you will be responsible of the maintenance cost. If I give you a Ferrari to be driven in a desert, will Ferrari be still world's best car? Especially while you're going to pay for the maintenance cost. Or having a SUV full drive will be much better in a desert. Of course, Ferrari in a normal street, in an autobahn, is one of the best cars, but when you put the same Ferrari into off-road, it's not going to perform as it should be. So, buying big brand names is not always going to keep you secure. I know the mindset. If you pick a big name fortune company's product and you get hacked through that product, you think that you can blame this company, right? I bought this fortune company which everybody uses, which is in top 5 based on fortune companies, but I'm hacked, so I'm not responsible. Really? Please think twice before you do your investments. And don't forget, never ever buy your products without having a proper POC, without seeing it fits into your organization. Okay, what will be the next question? The next question is going to be, does the organization foster a strong cybersecurity culture? Me, as CISO, right now at Exitium, or before that in a bank that I used to work at, it was always my first goal to create a cybersecurity culture where everybody helps me to be more secure. Remember, a few minutes ago, I was talking about we as defenders, we have thousands of applications to protect. Where hackers, they have to find one way, only one way to be successful. On the other hand, if we can stop an attack early enough, we can stop the rest of the damage much easier. And to do so, you have to get busy on creating cybersecurity culture. What I'm trying to say is, just let's get the phishing example. If the 20% of employees do not click in the phishing and they report it to you beforehand, and your security team analyzes, and hopefully this will be a false positive or maybe a real cybersecurity attack, which can save your organization lots of money. To be able to secure your organization, you have to set goals and you have to be able to measure it. Before, let's say, you are going to New York. As soon as you land to JFK airport, you set up your GPS to take you to Berlin in New York. Is this going to help? Not really. Or yes, maybe it's gonna, it's gonna try to navigate you to Berlin within New York, but honestly, it's not gonna be helpful. So, what you need to do is, you need to put the right destination to be able to go to the right place into your GPS. So, you have to know where you are and where you want to go. Without this, you cannot progress. If you know your weaknesses, if you know your assets, if you know your goals, and you can create a gap analysis where you want to be in the future, hopefully this can help you have a better cybersecurity culture. Is this all? No. Remember, I said we have to work with our co-workers together. You have to involve the right people. You have to understand how your organization is, and you have to create building trust. Let me give you another example. Before Exitium, I used to be a CISO in a bank. And before that, I was a CISO advisor, cybersecurity architect at Microsoft. When I resigned from Microsoft and joined the bank, even though I consulted many banks in my career before, I never worked full-time in a bank. What I did is, as soon as I accepted the CISO role in the bank, regional CISO role, I spent 3 months to understand how the organization works, how banking makes money, how bankers communicate with each other, how banking industry evolves. After 3 months, I started to reach out to the right people, and I started to push my cybersecurity goals based on people's knowledge. Having titles, and I'm not talking specifically about the bank, having big titles, C-level titles, doesn't mean that everybody's computer literated. It's our job as IT professionals to give the right message to the right people. And for that, we have to choose the right activities. To build a culture that works, it's really important to choose the relevant topics and activities. All this has to be planned, and based on the plan, your activities has to be executed. While you're doing that, you have to measure your progress and revise it accordingly. One more thing to keep in mind. Please, please, please don't forget. Cybersecurity is a business risk, not just an IT problem. If something happens, there is going to be domino effect on security incidents. It is not just the downtime for your organization. It is negative social media coverage, employees unable to access systems, extreme pressure on operations, all these investigations that has to go through, the cost to alert customers, the cost of market share, regularity investigations, remediation cost, lots of customers, sales, jobs, and maybe loss of business. You have to ensure that you do your best to understand the organization and have a BCP plan, business continuity plan, while you're doing this. Don't forget, you cannot defeat the threats of the present with the tools from the past. What I'm trying to tell you is, there is lots of tools, lots of tools that you can use, but you have to choose the right one. And EDR is based on many analyzers such as Gartner, KPMG, EY, and essential. This chapter was aiming to show you what is happening, the attack vectors of today, and the security progresses that we recommend. In the next chapter, we will learn about what EDR is, how you can compare EDR to antivirus, and some other recommendations about EDR. Thank you for listening.